Hi guys, what's up? Time for another Ultrapack 3.4 Cassie patch 2 hotfix 20 work in progress video. Today we are going to take a look at the formation landing of a large group of aircraft, 16 aircraft in total, straight in on the runway of the flight test map. This is something that never worked before in IL-2 1946 in any version, at least not as much as I know. Okay, let's get the game started. Okay, there we are. Time to open up the test mission. We are loading it up here. You will see our default test mission pattern here. We have a rectangle way which the aircraft are going to follow, which already is something that in former times would break for ship formation of heavy bombers, but as you know, we got that fixed already. And here you see something I introduced with the previous demonstration video, the easy way to join 4 flights together to one big single formation. We have the lead flight here, which consists of 4 B-36F aircraft fully loaded with fuel, average skill and no bombs. And that's the same for all the other flights, and those other flights are being connected to the initial spawn waypoint of the lead flight, which means they will, on spawn, form up a big formation of 16 airplane. Since all those flights are using the default formation, we are expecting to have a finger 4 formation here on the flights and a combat box formation for the whole 16 ship formation. So what else is going to happen? They are flying around here using default formation throughout the whole way, and on the final waypoint, which is the landing waypoint, we have the waypoint option landing type straight in set here. And this is what's really new here. Usually if you are using the default landing type left, then the result you will get is that the lead aircraft of the formation will land first, while the other 15 aircraft would go around because the runway is occupied. And only when the first aircraft clears the runway, then the second aircraft will be ready to land, and the next 14 will go around again. So you will eventually get 16 landing waves, which takes forever until all the aircraft are going down. And if we are using the straight-in pattern, instead, what we want to have is that all aircraft are going in on the runway in one big row. But, spoiler alert here, this is something that is not going to happen. Let me predict something here. We've got a couple of waypoints where the formation has to turn around by 90 degrees, which is something which will not work perfectly well with a 16 ship big formation, because there are some planes that have to step out of the way to avoid collisions, and they are breaking the formation and rejoin again. So at the time when our formation will enter the landing pattern, they will not be perfectly aligned in one row anymore. And as a result, some of the airplanes, if they would all go straight in at once, would crash with other airplanes in the formation. So in order to avoid this, those airplanes that would be going to crash will simply go around. They will break the landing pattern and go around and will form up a second wave. So if everything goes well, what we are expecting for real is that most of our aircraft will land on the first wave in one row, and all the other aircraft that are about to crash into each other, if they would join this formation, then all those other aircraft will form up a second wave, which will land in one row after that. Okay, let's see how this works out and play the mission. We have no player airplane here, so all we can do is really watch AI doing their task. Okay, I've hit pause here, so we can take a look at what happens at the time our flight spawns. You can see here that all the 4 flights are spawning in finger 4 formation, and they are forming up a perfect combat box pattern in the air. Okay, let's skip forward to the first turning waypoint. So here we are at our first turn waypoint where the flight is, where the formation is going to turn left by 90 degrees, and that's our bombers coming in the distance here. So here we can see what is happening when they turn around left, and we will see that a couple of planes are going to break formation, but that is okay, they are going to join the formation later on pretty quick again. So you can see number 14 is breaking formation, which will cause number 15 and number 16 to follow, but as I said, just fine. They will be back in the formation very soon. And that's our second turn waypoint. Flights are coming in. And turning left. And on we go to the next waypoint. This is roughly where the formation pattern will change, because the next waypoint is already the final waypoint before the landing pattern. So what happens is that the game will line up the aircraft in a long astern line. Okay, enough of that. Now our first flight is already lining up perfectly, all the other flights are lining up internally as well, and then finally the game will join all the formation together again in one line. We are going to watch our lead aircraft now as it does the final turn and enters the landing pattern, and I will accelerate this a little bit and we'll stop again when the next interesting part will happen. Okay, so I have paused the game here because we are about to enter the final left-hand turn before we are landing on the runway. So what we see here is we are with the lead aircraft of the lead flight, which is supposed to be the first one to land, but as you'll see, the number 2 overtook our lead aircraft in the final turn, which is okay. He more or less just tried to avoid a collision in that turn, and he ended up in front of our lead aircraft. But of course this somehow violates the formation pattern, and it will be interesting to see what's going to happen when they are both lining up on the runway. Okay, let's see. Alright, here we are. You can see how number 1 aircraft is pretty close to number 2 here, because he is thinking of landing first, but number 2 is ahead of number 1. So what we can predict is going to happen is that number 2 gets the landing clearance as well as number 1, but since number 1 is faster than number 2 here, he is about to crash, and if everything goes well, number 1 should abort the landing attempt and go around instead. Let's see whether this works as intended. Okay, number 2 is opening up the gears. So he's lowering the gear, he has the landing clearance and is going to land now. Okay, let's proceed. And as you can see already, number 1 is braking formation, turning slightly to the right and speeding up. He already aborted the landing and is going around. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. Okay, let's watch the aircraft coming in. You can see that number 6 is also going around. Number 10 is going around. And a couple more, but still. Oh, number 10 is joining back into the landing formation. That is okay as well. Here the first airplanes are landing. They're queuing up on the runway. Okay, let's speed this up a bit. Anyone left? Yeah, number 11. Here we go. And a nice elephant walk on the runway. While the second wave is still in the go-around pattern, and they will come in next with our number 1 lead aircraft ahead, number 6 second, and so on and so on. Okay, let's speed this up again and watch the second wave coming in. And there we are, number 1 and all the others that made a go around. Anyone crashing? No. And our final aircraft, which is number 12. Down on the ground and despawned. The map is clear. That's it. It worked. Thanks a lot for watching. Have fun.